answers. We are in a very competitive market here in GTA, and certainly from a first-time buyer seminar, first-time buyer, it's scary knowing that what you hear in the media and what is actually out there. So when you come into being into this market, you got to be prepared. So today I have, obviously some great people part of our team that will be talking after me. And when I say go back to the experts, don't hire a generalist. Hire someone who's going to care about what you do, what you buy. By doing this, you're going to bring yourself into a position of strength that the home you're going to buy is going to be the right home. So have a plan. You need your needs and your wants. With your need, we'll address them. We'll get you some of your wants. But is that home going to be a condo? Is it going to be a townhouse? Is it going to be, a fully detached home? How many people are moving in with you? Is going to be additional money coming in from family? These are all important things that we're going to discuss at our first meeting. Okay. But then once that first meeting happens, I'm going to take literally just a few minute break and introduce you to obviously our mortgage specialist. This is where them getting to know your finances, again, how much your down payment is, what your structure is going to be, what the rates are. The mortgage industry today is very complex, and you need someone who's going to guide you through that. Once you have that guideline as far as what you qualify for, then we meet again. Now we have a plan. You want to be living in the metropolitan Toronto area? Do you want to be in the outskirts of Toronto? You want to be a country home? Is going to be an investment condo to get you started? These are all things that but we need a plan for them saying, hey, you qualify for X number of dollars based on your income, based on your down payment, based on family help. That's where we're going to go from as far as the affordability. Once you have that, then obviously the other suggestion, I'm going to throw one more thing in there, is hook you up with a proper home inspector. Now, home inspection today is something that a lot of agents are not believing in. We may do a pre-inspection of the home, so at least you're you know what you're buying. Obviously, our legal team, V2, is our legal counsel on this thing. You need proper guidance. For buying a condo, the status certificate has to be reviewed. So there's a lot of things that kind of evolve out of this whole transaction. And then, of course, insurance. But first and foremost, you got to have a plan. You need the right people with you on your team in order to make this an absolutely amazing experience. And once you have all those things put into place, it's your first home. We want to be there for your journey, and we hope to be there for you. Thank you.
Well, that was short and sweet, Angelo. Thank you for that information. I love how you connect to the emotional side of a home purchase. It's not just about dollars and cents. It's a huge commitment, and it's a very big emotional impact on us and our families. So thank you for that. And for anyone who's just joined, who missed the introduction, that was Angelo Pucci of Sutton Group Heritage Realty. Don't forget that you can connect with Angelo one-on-one for consultation if you have questions, just like you can with any other of our panelists today. Theron, you are up next. Is Peter joining yet? Or?
He'll be joining very shortly, but we'll go ahead.
Okay, so this is Theron Lingham, everyone. He's another Connecting GTA member. He is a mortgage specialist with Bank of Montreal, and he has an amazing background in financial services and financial planning. So he's really an amazing person to connect with to answer those questions from a banking perspective. So go ahead, Theron, share us your information.
Hey, thank you so much for that amazing introduction, Doreen. And hello, Connecting GTA members. Good to see you on this great morning. It's a great topic, first-time home buyer. It's one of the most important topics that we need to discuss, and it's very important in this current hot market situation we are living in. When you say first time in your life, it's very important. It can be your first time schooling, first time buying a car, first time getting married. I'm just kidding. There's a lot of things are happening in your life, right? So there's excitement, happiness, fears. It's kind of a mixture of feelings, emotions within that first time. Now, overall, it gives you an experience. That is what is the most important thing. That experience, you're going to take it for long term, right? So this is the first of many houses you're going to buy down the road, right? So whenever my clients coming to me, this is not your first and last. This is your first of many houses you're going to own down the road, right? So I know it's very complicated process when it comes to mortgage. That's what is perceived as from the outside, right? But we are here as a team to make it happen for you guys, to make it smoother, to get you the keys right on time. Now, we are living in hot real estate market with a lot of bidding or offers currently happening, especially after COVID-19. Now, it is tough to get into the market, especially being a first-time home buyer, but I would say start somewhere. You don't have to find your dream home on the first time. Start from smaller. There's condos available, townhouses available, semi-detached, detached, right? So there's so many different properties available for you to go and start somewhere. And then when you start somewhere, down the road, in a couple of years, 2 years, 3 years down the road, there will be equity on your property. So that's what the magic of the real estate, like Angela Pucci was saying, right? So real estate will make you money. Without equity, you're gonna go buy the second property. So that's how the process is, right? Now, it is very important to have the pre-approval process done from the bank's perspective, especially when you're going on a multiple bidding offers. Now, waiving the financing condition is very important because you want to be on the top of the list, right? When you're bidding the offer. Now, having the firm offer from the bank side on the paper, it gives you extra confidence to go and say, okay, I'm going to give the offer without any conditional financing. Then I'll be on the top of the list, and I can easily get a house compared to the other buyers who are trying to bidding as well, right? There are a lot of very important things that the client needs to be aware of when they're going on a first-time home buyer, especially the down payment, right? So there's a lot of confusion when it comes to down payment. What is the minimum down payment that you need to buy? A lot of people think you need 20% down payment. No, it's not, right? So minimum down payment you need to buy a house, it depends on the value of the property you're going to end up buying, right? So up to 500,000, you're gonna paying only 5% minimum down payment. From 500,000 to $1 million, you need 10%. Anything over $1 million, that's where you need 20% down payment. So, for example, if you're buying $600,000 property, first 500,000, 25,000, additional 100,000 is 10,000. You only need $35,000 minimum down payment. Now, there are other factors comes into place when you're putting less than 20% down payment. That's where the default insured mortgages come into place, right? So anytime you put less than 20% down payment, there are insurance companies are offering default insurance premium. Now, why they're doing this? Why these insurance companies in place? This is to protect the lenders, not the buyers. So anytime you put less than 20% down payment, there's a high chance you can default premium that you're paying for the bank. Now, this is again to protect the banks, not the buyers. Another good thing is we can include that insurance premium into the mortgage as well. So another good thing about having that default insurance premium, which you can spread that towards 25 years down the road, right? There are 3 different insurance companies who offers default insurance mortgages: CMHC, Sagen, Canada Guarantee. They have their own qualifications. If you need more information, we can sit one-on-one, and you can always refer to my Instagram page as well to go through the videos that I have. There's a lot of down payment sources that first-time home buyer can think of. One can be their own savings. Now, being the first-time home buyer, you won't have that enough down payment because you might be young. You might just have started, right, working. So you might need the help from the family. You can borrow from your family as a gift. Now, my first time buying a house back in 6 years, I got my down payment through my family. And then once I built my equity, I paid them back. So that's how the process is. The family is there to help you. And that's how we make things happen. Now, in order to use more down payment sources. There's RRSP home buyer plan. You can withdraw up to $35,000 as a first-time home buyer. And another thing is a government is offering first-time home buyer incentive program. On top of the down payment that you're putting, they can also give you 5% or 10% to support you through that program as well. So there's many options available, right? Another main factor is credit bureau, right? So when it comes to credit bureau, always try to maintain a score of more than 680, right? Anything more than 680, which is a great credit score, it helps you for the default insured mortgage side as well. Avoid unnecessary liabilities like car loan, for example. If you go buy a car loan or car lease, that payment can be more than $500, right? So for example, if you owe $500 monthly payment, that's going to reduce $100,000 mortgage on your side. So that's a huge. It can be lower on the monthly payment side, but when it comes to mortgage, it is a huge amount of mortgage that you're losing on it, right? Another thing is always try to avoid credit utilization. Try to maintain minimum less than 15% credit utilization. That always helps as well. Now, when it comes to closing costs, there are surprises on the end, right? That's what Ritu, as a lawyer, is going to talk at the end. I'm just going to touch base a little bit. So you can expect 1.5% to 4% as a closing cost. And also there's land transfer taxes involved. Now, being a first-time home buyer, there's an incentive for the land transfer taxes. You get a rebate from the government. A lot of benefits have being a first-time home buyer. You can take advantage of those. And at the end, like, these are the main benefits. These are the main things that you need to consider when buying the first-time home buyer. Obviously, there's a lot of discussion involved when it comes to first-time home buyer. I'm happy to answer any questions after the seminar or in person, or even through the call, like anything, whatever you want to do, right? So again, thank you for the great opportunity, and Doreen, you can take over.
Thank you so much, Taran. That's really great information. You know, I mean, as daunting as it seems out there in the real estate market, it's nice to know that there is a way. You have a plan, and you can show your clients the right plan to suit their needs. So working in partnership with Angelo Pucci, as well as our other members on the call today, you know, if anyone has any fears, trust in these guys, they will make it happen for you. So thank you so much for that, Taran. I appreciate it. Don't forget to put your contact details in the chat box, Taran. So if anybody would like to have a one-on-one consultation with you, they can contact you as well as Angelo so far. And we will field the questions after all the speakers are done. So next up is Terence Raja, another incredible Connecting GTA member. He is an investment and insurance advisor at his own brokerage firm called Agape Life. He had a near-death experience years ago that prompted him to look into how he can help others who are, you know, dealing with sudden, you know, calamities that happen or curveballs that are thrown at them. He really does believe in fighting for his clients and helping them have a secure financial future. So welcome, Terence, and I'm glad to see you this morning. Go ahead.
Thank you, Doreen. Thank you and Suresh for having all of us here, and for Connecting GTA and its members for creating this platform for all business individuals like us. I'm really humbled and honored to be part of this great team of individuals who are doing the presentation. And I really hope by the end of this seminar, I have been able to provide answers to someone out there who might be having lots of questions and looking for answers. Friends, I'm Terence Raja. As Doreen said, a finance equity advisor. I own and operate Agape Life, a small insurance brokerage mainly attached to a big MGA, Life 100 Insurance and Investments, for the past 6 years. My slogan in life insurance is, when life happens, how prepared are you? Getting you prepared and keeping you and your family financially protected by way of insurance is what I do. Our recent global pandemic is a clear example of how and why we should be prepared. I deal with life insurance, individual and corporate, living benefits such as critical illness, disability, long-term care, health and dental for individuals and groups. Well, we listened to a journey of a first-time home buyer, from finding a home, how to qualify for a mortgage, and soon the legal aspects of a buyer's lawyer and a seller's lawyer from Bidu. But once you go through this process and you have the biggest investment of your life, your work does not end there. You have to financially protect the loan through insurance. Now, in insurance, there are two types. One is a home insurance, where you protect for fire and liability. And now the other part is life insurance, where you protect for your loan. You may be offered group insurance by your lender or even a broker. You put up because it is mandatory for you to protect that insurance. Mortgage life insurance is typically marketed towards new homeowners who may be concerned that an unexpected death or illness could leave your loved ones with a large mortgage with no means to pay. Personal life insurance can perform a similar function for you, but isn't tied to just covering your mortgage. It's named with your named beneficiaries, with money in the event something unfortunate happens to your life. Its flexibility allows you, beneficiaries, to use the money for whatever the purpose they wish, as it's an individual insurance product. It is also not tied to your mortgage, so that you can do anything you want with your house. You can switch banks or even sell your house and buy a new one. Still, your insurance will be intact. Sitting down with a financial advisor like me will help you firstly to educate yourself, and before you assume that because of these payments, you might not be able to afford insurance. Because when you buy a home in the beginning, you're going to have a lot of expenses. So the last priority many give is they think that insurance is expensive and they try to put that aside. By meeting a financial security advisor, you will be able to understand the difference between mortgage insurance, personal life insurance, the options that the personal life insurance brings, importance of living benefits, such as critical illness, disability insurance, and how these benefits are paid. There are a lot of cost options involved, how you could fit at least some coverage within your budget. If you have health issues, whether you can get coverage. Never assume. You need always to sit with an advisor for guidance and make sure you have the protection you need that will give that peace of mind to you and your family. Remember, some financial protection is better than not having any. Never delay protecting yourself. I have seen with many of my clients that they decided to take insurance, but they have delayed, and then something has unfortunately happened that they have not been able to get the coverage. So once you have that meeting with your advisor, and if you decide, okay, you have to go ahead, don't delay that decision. Please give a call. Sit down with an advisor. You will never know how many solutions the advisor can bring to your table that you might not have thought of. I am here to help you and educate you. My peace of mind is when you and your family are financially protected when life happens. Thank you, Doreen, for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Terence. That was amazing. I'm glad you pointed out all of the different services and solutions that you can help clients with. It really is so important because we just never know what's around the corner for us. And as you say, when life happens, are you protected? So thank you for sharing that. Terence, please put your contact information in the chat box so that if anybody would like to sit down with you for a one-on-one consultation, they'll be able to reach you. Thank you so much for that. And our last presenter is the very fierce and capable Vitu Ramachandran. He is a lawyer at Ramachandran Law and also the founder. And he specializes in family law, real estate law, corporate law, and civil litigation. So Vitu, please go ahead and share your information with us.
All right, well, good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining on a Friday morning. And, you know, there were some great presenters with great information. I know due to time constraints, we can't get everything out. So maybe we'll do a more expanded version later. But okay, so what I'm going to talk to you about what the role of the lawyer is in this entire process. Basically, we're the glue that ties in everything that you've done with all these great people in at the end to deliver you the keys, which is what you want. So what we do is once you have the house ready and you have your mortgage, we work on completing the paperwork, the boring stuff with all these parties to get that going. But for today, I think the emphasis has to be on what you should expect when you come to a lawyer, or what should you expect at the end of the transaction. So for this, I'm going to talk to you about the closing costs in particular. So closing costs is not just the purchase of the house. I have clients who just buy a house, pay the deposit, and say, "Oh, I got to bring you this much, a little bit for legal fees, and that's it." No. So alongside your purchase price or the purchase of the house, please account for your land transfer tax. Land transfer tax is one of your biggest expenses that will hit you. And with the prices of properties now, this amount is a significant chunk of change. With land transfer tax, if you're in Toronto, there's double land transfer tax because you're in the city of Toronto, there is a separate tax. If you're anywhere outside of Toronto, there's only one land transfer tax. There's some great calculators online where you can start playing with some prospective numbers of what the value of the house you want to buy, and they'll give you what the land transfer tax for that purchase price is. At the same time, for first-time home buyers, that means all the owners or the spouses of that purchaser is a first-time home buyer. Then you're going to get, if you're in the province of Ontario, a maximum $4,000 off as your first-time home buyer. And if you're in the city of Toronto, then you get an additional $4,475 for a total of $8,475 on the first-time home buyer rebates. This is an independent rebate than the benefit of going through the RRSP program that Darren mentioned. So we have the purchase price, the balance of the purchase price, closing costs, legal fees. So legal fees will range from anywhere from, you could say, like $700 to all the way up to $2,000. It really will depend on the type of deal that is being structured for you, the complexities with your property, and the amount of work involved. You know, if you go to a bank like a BMO, then your fees will be on the lower end. But if you do get private financing, then your fees will be on the higher end. So that's where your range of your legal fees. The other big category that people don't account for is title insurance. So title insurance, not home insurance. So if you're getting a mortgage in Ontario, you must have home insurance. So that's something, and without that, the mortgage lenders will not fund you or allow the lawyer to release the funds without mortgage insurance. However, title insurance covers your deed, like the background of the history. The bank doesn't know what's happened to this property in the last 50 years. You know, as lawyers, we could check what's on title, whatever is registered. You know, if there's a lien, if there's a mortgage, we could check that. But we don't know, you know, if there is a conflict brewing that's going to be going to court, that's going to tie up this property after you buy it. So title insurance ensures that, you know, if there's any of these issues, unexpected issues comes up, that it's covered. So that is one of the things. Those are the big categories of closing costs you have to expect. We tell clients, if you're in the province of Ontario, not in Toronto, expect anywhere between 1.5% to 2% as a rough guide for closing costs. If you're in the city of Toronto, go up to about 2.5% to 3% because you've got the double land transfer tax to account for. So that's one big one. Number two is what's the process? So near the end of the process, we're going to go through all the documentation with you. You've got to understand what you're getting into with the banks, and we go into what you could expect for the end of the process. So this actually ties into one of our questions that we've asked is that, should I inspect the property? Hell yeah, you should inspect the property because there's so much issues that comes with it. However, even though I say that, practically speaking, in today's market, it is so hard for you to get your offer accepted if you have a home inspection clause. So you have to understand that, if you're going in with no home inspection clause, have a buffer room available. You may get, a few $1,000s of unexpected expenses, but that's part of the process of buying in this market, going in cold without a home inspection. So we tell people, if you don't have it, have a buffer room, because some sellers are very reasonable, very nice, and they're willing to say compensate you. Oh, we broke this light fixture. We'll compensate you a couple $100s off the purchase price. But some sellers are saying, sorry, no home inspection, your loss, you deal with it. So, you got to be really careful with the home inspection one, but we do understand the market. Like, we can't lose the property for maybe $1,000. So that's a cost benefit analysis you'll have to do when you put in the offer. One of the last things I want to touch up on is, with COVID, you can actually get all the keys and everything's done remotely. So, our process now is almost virtual. So, you meet with us virtually, we answer everything virtually. You even get your keys in a lockbox. So, we really have worked on minimizing interaction in order to, COVID, with all the scares happening right now, to make sure that this process is a smooth process. And there are sometimes post-closing issues, and we'll help you walk through those as well. So that is my high-level presentation today, given our time allotment. But I think I've answered the questions with respect to the inspection of the legal fees. I think there's some other questions for my colleagues to answer within their expertise.
Thank you so much for that, Vithu. You brought so much to light in terms of all of the different variables that go into purchasing your home. It's not just an interest rate, it's not just the mortgage, it's insurance, it's investments, it's keeping that buffer and that extra bit of funds just in case something happens that you're not prepared for. So, whoever's joined in, you can see that the four gentlemen who have presented today really do work really well together and provide you the best solutions, the best advice, so that you can sleep at night knowing that you've made the right decision. So thank you so much for sharing, gentlemen. We will get to the questions in a few seconds. Vithu, if you would like to add your contact details to the chat box so people can reach you. I see that Peter Themos has joined. I'm not sure whether he wants to say a few words. Theron?
Absolutely. So Peter is a vice president of mortgage specialist at Bank of Montreal. I don't know, Peter, can you hear us?
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay.
Hey, Peter, thanks for joining.
It's a pleasure and a real informative session. A couple of things. Number one, I think this is a phenomenal opportunity that's being put together here by the entire team. As per introduction, I'm the market leader here in Toronto region for our mobile mortgage specialist team. And we're lucky enough to have Theron Lingham representing Bank of Montreal on this call. A couple of things that I'll say is it's so important that you align yourself with professionals that are subject matter experts in an area such as purchasing a home. You really want to be with the right team from A to Z in the process. And certainly our role or our as a bank in this sense is the finance side. So Bank of Montreal is Canada's first bank. We've been around since 1870. We've 12 million customers, over 47,000 employees, very dedicated to social responsibility. And as a matter of fact, as a bank, we sort of took the initiative to come out with the mortgage relief program last year, which eventually the Bank of Canada asked all the other banks to sort of mirror, to make sure that even in a pandemic, Bank of Montreal is sort of a leader there. What I can say is, we are looking forward to having conversations about your home financing needs through Theron. He's a very capable and top performing mortgage specialist that has been with us for years. And that's all from me. I just really appreciate the opportunity to speak in this forum. And I encourage all the participants to take some time and ask some real thoughtful questions of the entire panel here. We're here to support you on this journey. And I couldn't think of a better group than the folks that are available to you today. to provide you with some of that subject matter expertise. Thanks so much, Theron, for the invitation, and to the rest of the team for having me on.
Peter, I know you are very busy with the other meetings, but thanks for joining in the meeting and supporting us. It's a great pleasure to have you. Peter is the Vice President Mortgage Specialist for Bank of Montreal. It's a great leader, great coach, great mentor for me. So he's there to support us throughout the journey. Like if you have any issues with the applications or anything, so we work together as a team to make things happen. So again, thank you, Peter, for joining.
Thank you so much,
My
Peter,
pleasure.
Aaron. So we'll get to the questions next. We do have a whole slew of them in the chat box, so I will get to them one at a time. The first question, I'm not sure who wants to answer this, but it says, do I need to be pre-approved or pre-qualified for a mortgage before looking at homes?
So absolutely. So I'll answer that question. So a pre-approval, like I mentioned before, it's very important before you go and look for the house, especially in the current market situation, and like you're going on a bidding offer. So having that firm pre-approval on hand will make it easier to go put an offer without any financing conditions. So that's why you need to have a pre-approval in place from the bank. Again, another very important factor about a pre-approval. When we offer pre-approval, it will be good for 6 months, right? So we don't offer only for 1 or 2 months. So like it is good for 6 months. So we give you that time frame to work with your realtor and go look for the right property for you within that 6 months time frame. Another strong factor that BMO offers compared to any other banks, we offer 120 days rate guarantee. So I know rate can fluctuate, especially with the current COVID-19 situation. We don't know when the economy is going to recover. So a lot of discussion on that too, right? So we offer 120 days fixed rate guarantee, which is the longest in any major 5 banks, right? So that is also added value that we offer at Bank of Montreal. Now, with the pre-approval process, we do everything incomplete. So we analyze your income, we analyze your asset, liabilities. So it is a complete full application. The only thing that's lacking there is your house. Once you find the house, what we will do is you bring back the APS, Agreement of Purchase and Sale. We input that detail and then we convert that into a real mortgage. So your mortgage process gets smoother by having the pre-approval well ahead of time. Now, once you find it, then it takes only another 1 or 2 weeks to finish the process. And we'll go to the final process, giving back to you the keys, right? So that's why it's very important to have the pre-approval done before going and looking for a house.
I will. I'll second that, Sharon. I think that we will not. We made rules years ago, and again, I'm a former banker as well, so I can appreciate the fact of your position. Anybody is thinking once we meet and have our initial meeting, my first call, my first question back to you is, are you qualified? Who did the qualification? How long is it for? Because without that, we're only window shopping. We are window shopping. The thing is, once you become serious about it, that is a must. We will not take anybody out without that. If you don't have that, there's really nothing, because they're the only people, your mortgage specialists are the only people that can give me the go ahead. Nobody else will have the power to say how much you can afford to buy other than them. They're the ones going to put that final stroke on that approval from the credit department to say you're good to go. In a competitive market that we have right now, with multiple offers, that is the one thing that when I call Terence and say, Terence, are we good to go? His words will be, Ange, you're good to go up to X number of dollars. Without that, we cannot proceed. So Terence, that's a very good, excellent answer, but definitely get that pre-approval, meet with us, get that pre-approval, and then we can go shopping.
Thank you for that. Yes, time is of the essence in today's market. So having that pre-approval will really speed things up and add that layer of security for you. So thank you, gentlemen, for that answer. The next question is, this I guess will be directed to Angelo. How will you help me find a home to purchase?
Well, again, it goes back to the needs and wants. What is your short-term, long-term plan? I mean, we have to get to know who you are. You get to know who we are, in order for us to go and be part of your journey. So, is it an investment property? Is it your first home? You're looking for, buying a pre-construction condo to build up some equity down the line. So these are all very, very key factors. But the initial meeting is to determine what is your goals. What are your goals? Is this your family home that you plan on staying there 3, 4, 5, 10 years? And investment to build equity? What is it? So once we do that, then we actually have a game plan in place. So based on once we have the approval, we have a budget of X number of dollars. We will then put you onto our VIP list as far as new properties that come up. It is the agent that will be responsible for providing that information. We also have our own mobile app that our clients are able to have. We feel it's one of the best, if not the best, on the market. So you can stay live with us every step of the way. That if you're in front of a house and you happen to like it, all you have to do is go to find me. I'll tell you everything about that property. So again, it's really depends on the individual budget wise, and then we can go to work and find you the right home.
Easy peasy. Thank you, Angelo. That's great. All right. Next question is, what is home loan insurance? Not sure who can answer that one.
Yeah, let me answer that question. So, like I mentioned before, it's anytime you put less than 20% down payment. So that's where the default mortgage insurance kick in, right? So this is again to cover not the buyers, it's the lenders, right? So anytime you put less than 20% down payment, there is a high chance that you can default on their mortgage premium down the road, because 5%, 10%, you're only putting a very less down payment, right? So this is again to protect the lenders like Bank of Montreal. The mortgage insurance premium, it's attached to the mortgage. So you don't have to pay upfront from your pocket. So there's an option to pay upfront from your pocket. If you don't have that money saved up, you can include that into the mortgage, and it can be spread towards the 25-year amortization, which becomes a very less cost on your mortgage monthly payment. There are 3 mortgage insurance companies who provide that mortgage insurance, which is CMHC, Sagen, and then Canada Guarantee. So these are the main insurance providers, right? So insurance premium is determined based on the property value that you buy and the down payment that you put. So there's a calculation involved in it, and there's a premium percentage. So we do the calculation for you, and we would let you know this is what the cost involved in it, and we can attach that into the mortgage to make things easier for you. Now, these could be surprises for you if you don't have that enough saved up down payment up to 20%. Especially being a first-time home buyer, we totally understand it is hard to save that kind of a down payment, but don't worry, there's always an option to put less than 20% down payment, and we can add that insurance cost into the mortgage to make things easier. So that's why we do the pre-approval process to kind of qualify you for that pre-approval amount. To give you an idea, this is what you can go and get the property, right? So hope this answers the question.
Great, thank you for that, Karen. So the next question is, do I have to inspect the property? And there's another question that maybe I'll tie in both together and have Vithu answer. It's, do I have to inspect the property, and what are the legal fees? So Vithu, can you provide your oversight on that, please?
Yeah, so going back, definitely you have to inspect the property if possible. The reason I say if possible is in today's market, it's so hard to get an offer approved with some of these conditions. So, would we recommend it? Highly recommend. We never want to have it, these surprises. If you want a good article on what could happen, worst case scenario, there was Toronto Star published one about 2-3 days ago about a nightmare purchase scenario when, they bought, it was a little bit of a larger house. they bought it, and when they went inside, a lot of things were not what they expected it to be. But they went in firm, now they're stuck in this nasty litigation, trying to recover some of these things. So, you have to be very careful about certain things. People with experience like Angela will really, really help this process because they've kind of seen it. So they could kind of, at least even if they're not a mechanic or certain specialty, they have some kind of experience in those areas. So please do get it inspected. With legal fees, it really will depend on your type of transaction. Some are very, very low. They'll go, $700, $800, $900, but some will go up to the 2,000 range. It depends on who your lenders are. It depends on the conditions involved. It depends on how intricate some of these dealings are. But what we tell everyone is, if you're not in the city of Toronto, budget 2% on top of your purchase price as additional closing costs. If you get a little bit more, if it costs you less, you get more buffer room. And if you're in the city of Toronto, factor in about 3% of your purchase price as closing costs. So that's where you need to be ballparking. So it's purchase plus 2% or 3%.
I'll actually add to V2 on that home inspection. So this is something that we are in a very, very competitive market. And you know what? We've seen nightmares. We'll continue to see nightmares, and the nightmares don't happen until after you buy the property. So if nothing else, during one of your visits, if at all possible, there are some really good inspectors out there, home inspectors. At least do a structural mechanical walkthrough. There's always going to be, I love Home Depot. You can do it they can say you can do it, but how do you do it? Because at the end of the day, somebody going for a 1 hour, session at Home Depot during the course of, a Saturday and learn how to do electrical is not the home that I want to buy, or plumbing or whatever. So I always recommend it. Is it always possible? The answer is no. However, we will always make sure that we guide our clients appropriately. And if you don't do it prior to that, you get into a multiple offer, do call a home inspector after the fact and get a full appraisal done. At least you know what you're in for. So do it prior to if possible. Structural, mechanical deficiencies, but if not, do one right after you buy the home, so at least you know what you're in for.
I just have one thing to add. These are great information shared by Ritu and Angelo, and it's very important to do that home inspection process for your house. I know it's pretty hard, with the multiple offers in place. You need to go firm sometimes. But I'm going through one situation with a client who bought a property in the Beaches area, close in Toronto. And the house was built back in 1925, right? And the electric panel, it's very outdated electric panel. After we did the appraisal, now we are having issues with the funding with the credit officer because the owner or the seller or the buyer has to fix that electric panel before we can fund the deal. Now, everything was approved from the mortgage point of view, but after the appraisal is done, this is what the issue is. So when you don't do that home inspection thoroughly, you can end up going through this issue at the end, which is closing on July 6th. So which is almost closing, coming up, right? So this is why it's very important to have that home inspection done. If there's an issue, major issues like electric panel, which has to be fixed by the seller, and you can request that. So it is your right to do that. If they're not going to do that, to bring down the value bit, right? So these are the rights that as a home buyer, you always have that, right? So I just wanted to add that, so since I'm going through that issue right now. So
well, there's a lot of electrical is one of the biggest issues that a lot of lenders, insurance companies fall back on. Knob and tube was in the old days. And from knob and tube wiring, we went to aluminum wiring. From aluminum wiring, we went to copper wiring. There are insurance companies out there today that will not insure a property if it does not have copper wiring. I mean, if it's aluminum, there's certain insurance companies that won't even touch it. And if it's knob and tube, which is going back to the I think that was up to 1960, where we had up and two wiring, some of the older properties will have that. We'll still have that. So while everything may look rosy, there's still a lot of things that have to kind of fall into place. And if you bought the house firm, then it becomes a question as far as who pays for what. So again, if nothing else, just at least have somebody go through a walkthrough with you so you can prepare yourself. But ultimately, it will depend upon the lender, the insurance company, whether they even give you insurance in order to close. Without those things, you cannot close.
Great points. Thank you for that. The more we talk about this, the more apparent it is that for each situation and each scenario, there's a level of risk that has to be withstood by the person. So if anyone's concerned or not sure, contact, Angelo, Theron, Bithu, and run it by them and see what they have to say and where you fit into the picture. That'll really help. So thank you for answering that question. I know it's a broad one, it's a deep one, but it's a very important one as well. Vithu, I don't know if you answered the question about the legal fees.
Yeah.
I think someone had asked if you could, you did?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right. So the next question is, there's a nice little acknowledgement here from Suresh. It says, Vithu was amazing with the closing of my mortgage. He let me know the process. Thank you for that, for those kind words, Suresh. I think those are all the questions that I have in the chat box. I think there was one in here that I think you may have touched upon it, somebody at some point. Should I think about resale before I purchase my first home?
I can touch on that briefly. Again, this is where when you hire our team or any professionals, I think that you have to get to know your client. I think knowledge is power. When you and I meet, Doreen, as far as when you're buying your home, it's my job now to analyze what do you want? Which direction are you going? Are you looking for an investment? Are you looking to invest to secure some equity down the line, your family home, your first home, your condo? What is it? So it's getting to know your client. So is resale? Resale should be the complete package, meaning that you buy a resale home, air conditioning, drapes, landscaping should all be done. When you buy a new home, all those things are added and extra cost that you have to budget for. When you buy a condo, you're going to have different things as far as condo fees. So it really depends on the individual. If somebody really wants something, saying, "Hey, Angie, what I'm looking just to sort of walk in, drop my bags, and call it home," it should be a resale. With some resales, unless you reach into a nightmare situation where you have not done the right things, then it's not really the dream home. We always try to make it the dream home. So let's find out what you're looking for and go forward from there.
Great. Thank you so much, Angelo. Theron, you want to say something?
I just wanted to add great points, Angelo. Just wanted to add a few things into that. So when especially being a first-time home buyer, when considering resale, or some people think about pre-construction, right? So which closes down the road in 2 to 3 years. Now, which one is good for them? It all depends from the mortgage point of view. Do you have enough down payment saved up to 20% if you want to go for the pre-construction? Because you need that 20% down payment needed. Over the next 2 to 3 years, you need to put that down payment in there. Now with the resale, you don't have to, right? So you have the option of putting that minimum down payment or 5%, 10%, whatever it is, right? So based on that, you can make that choices. Now it's all about how much is the savings that you have and how much you can borrow from your family to cover the down payment. So it's all based on that.
The beauty about pre-construction, I mean, we do also pre-construction. So if anybody's interested in pre-construction, we also do that. We are platinum realtors, VIP realtors, platinum VIP realtors for pre-construction. It is over a longer period of time. So the construction and cost and result could be 2 or 3 years down the line, usually 3 years now. But your 20% is actually staggered in some cases up to 270 days. So you're 5% down, and then you have an additional 5%, and the balance of 10% could be structured over the remaining, 2 years. So these are all important things, that we will discuss with everybody. And it could also be a future savings plan, from 2 years down the line. So you may have the 5%, and may have other family one that can help you with it. But the 20% in most cases, most builders, most pre-construction is staggered over, 270 days, in some cases a bit longer.
That's great to know. Thank you for pointing that out, Angelo. There's always a way, right? I'd like to ask Terence Raja this next question. As I sit here listening to all of the information and how things have changed so much in the landscape of real estate, besides the risks involved, besides the high emotions involved, it's obvious that people are spending their life savings to buy a home. There's just so much riding here, so much at stake. How would you comment on that, Terence, and how to protect yourself? How do people protect themselves against losses, about unforeseen situations? As an insurance advisor, what would you recommend people do? You're on mute, Terence. Sorry.
Sorry, guys. Unfortunately, the life insurance or the living benefits does not give any insurance to protect against losses. But the best way to cover those losses or face those situations is by savings and by investments. Using your RRSPs, TFSS is a way of having funds that you can access immediately, especially TFSS, and some savings plan that could help you. When it comes to living benefits, those are related to your illnesses, injuries, and so by that way you can't cover this. A lot of people even have been asking, like, when you lose a job, do you get insurance? Is that something that we can have for? So yeah, trying to get into a proper savings plan, and again, that is to sit with an advisor. It doesn't have to be big. It can be some small nominal amounts that you are disciplined enough to save. And those are things could help you in situation like this.
Great, thank you. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. As everyone can see, there's just so much involved and so much to consider. So I'm really grateful that the 4 experts are on the panel today to answer these questions. Just before we end, is there anybody on the Zoom call who has a question that they would like answered?
I wanted to ask something to either Angelo or Vidhu with the home inspections, right? How do you determine when to decide whether to do it or not? How do you, I know I've been looking at properties and some of them are old properties and some of them are new. Well, how do you determine whether to do it or not? Or with, like you said, with multiple offers and all that happening, it's very hard to get it done, right?
Well, again, you've worked with me before, Suresh, so certainly you know how I feel about home inspections. I always recommend them, even if it's just a more condensed home inspection, so at least you have an overview. So I think home inspection should be discussed right from the onset, and it will be up to the individual to whether they want to do it or not. I've always been a believer that you put it out there, and then my job is to protect my clients. But there's been cases where I've been overruled because they want the property so badly. It's not my decision to make, but certainly my job, my primary focus would be saying, do a home inspection, bring a home inspector. I mean, yes, there's a cost associated with, but $200 or $300, $400, $500 inspection cost is a lot better than having thousands of dollars down the line that you have to deal with. And there's going to be horror stories as we come out of this, COVID, crazy real estate market. Okay, there's going to be some major stories coming out of people that have bought homes and they're going to have major issues. It's already been published in the Toronto Star a few days ago as far as home inspections, and I think we've only seen the tip of the iceberg. So my whole position has always been, and it will always be, do a home inspection, whether it's new, whether it's resale, whatever the case may be. Take the money, spend a few $100s now to save thousands of dollars later.
Hey, yeah, I think the simple answer for that one, like echoing Angelo, it's what the market will give you. If the market doesn't give you a home inspection, you're not getting a home inspection. Always recommend it though. 2 questions, I'm going to tackle them. The second one first. What are the hidden costs of owning a home? Normally, without the repairs and all that stuff, I think you should be, you have your monthly mortgage payments. You're going to have your mortgage insurance payments if you're getting one. You're going to have your property tax statement, and if if you're within a condominium, townhouse or a building, then you're going to have your condominium fees as well as your monthly carrying costs, and then add in utilities, right? Like your electricity or your water or your hydro. Things start adding up, and then you might need a new garden hose and a new X, Y, and Z. There are hidden costs of owning a home, but I think the benefits outweigh it. The last question we have is, as a first-time home buyer who's been approved and received keys, they closed the deal, got his life insurance to cover the mortgage, named his spouse as beneficiary, should they write their will? Yeah. So at the end of this process, and you settle in, I think the next thing you have to do is talk about why you're doing all this. There's a why of I want a house right now, but you built all of this for a purpose. Who you're leaving it for? What are you leaving it for? It has to be planned out. And if you don't plan it, there's significant tax consequences of not planning it. So even when this process actually starts when you're with the lawyer. Like for example, how you're taking title. Are you taking 2 people to a title? One person is going on title. Because each decision has a different consequence if one of you were to pass away. It doesn't happen during the closing, like for example, during the closing process. But if one of you pass away, there's significant estate differences. For example, if you have a very simple example, is husband and wife both on title. We call it joint tenancies is the way you could register it. That means if one of you passes away, the other person takes over the person who's deceased share without any land transfer tax, without having to go to probate, without having to go to estates court. Then you avoid probate taxes. That alone could be $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, and the legals on that. But just by registering in a certain way, and we've had stories where there's only one person on title. Husband passed away, wife is there. Wife still has to pay probate taxes in order she could avoid the land transfer tax, but still has to pay probate tax. So there's a lot of financial planning that even goes on with us, and then after us, we'll reconnect and set up your estates.
Thank you for asking that question, Terence. It was a really good question, and I'm glad, Vithu, you were able to answer that. Does anybody else have anything to add or any other questions? Anyone on the call? Okay, it seems like we've answered all the questions. So thank you very much to our expert panel of guests this morning from Connecting GTA. Vithu, Theron, Angelo, Terence, thank you so much. It was really informative. I learned a lot myself. And thank you to everyone who joined, anyone on the call as well who joined, and the great questions that you guys asked, amazing. We look forward to seeing you again at the next Connecting GTA event. Have a great weekend, everyone. Bye.
Bye, guys.